This week's blog post is on the sculpture of John Watts Jr. in Trinity Churchyard, which faces the west end of Wall Street. Last week I posted on Abraham de Peyster, whose sculpture was commissioned by his great-great-great-grandson, John Watts de Peyster. The sculpture we're looking at this week is by the same sculptor, was commissioned by the same man, this time to honor his grandfather. John Watts Jr., 1749 to 1836, was the son of an important colonial official and of Anne Delancey, member of a prominent family who's commemorated in the name of the street that leads to the Williamsburg Bridge. This is Delancey's New Square up here. Young John was born in New York and took his degree from King's College in 1769. By his early 20s, he was serving as royal recorder. In 1775, his father, John Watts Sr., who was a royal official and a loyalist, a Tory, fled to England. New York confiscated his large estate and his Manhattan townhouse, banished him, and issued a bill of attainder against his family. In the I didn't know that department, a bill of attainder states that a person's descendants are tainted, i.e. that they are corrupted merely by the fact of their parentage or relations. No individual trials are necessary in order to condemn them. Bills of attainder were frequently used in Britain well into the 18th century. They are explicitly forbidden by the United States Constitution. And now back to our story. New York City was occupied by the British from 1776 to 1783. Not surprisingly, patriotic residents of the city and state bitterly hated Americans who chose to be loyalists. Some of Alexander Hamilton's earliest law cases were attempts to have the New York State Legislature's rulings against loyalists after the war overturned, on the basis that they contravened the terms of the peace treaty ending the war with Britain. There's a link to a post about that. In 1784, the year after the British finally evacuated New York City, Watts Jr. and his brother applied to have the attainder against their family revoked and their property returned. They were granted permission to have it back, but only if they purchased it. John Watts Jr. became the only former royal official in New York to hold state and federal office after the war. He served as an assemblyman in the state legislature from 1791 to 1793, and then as a U.S. congressman from 1793 to 1795. In 1806, he became the first judge in Westchester County. Watts Jr. and his wife, another Delancey, had 11 children. His wife and 10 of the children predeceased him. One of his grandsons was adopted by his friend, the wealthy John George Leake. When the grandson inherited from Leake but died soon after, John Watts Jr. decided to use the Leake inheritance to endow an orphanage. The Leake and Watts Orphan Home, established in 1831, operates today as Leake and Watts Services. John Watts de Peyster, the grandson of John Watts Jr., commissioned this sculpture as memorial to Watts Jr. when the orphanage moved from Manhattan to Yonkers. The sculpture stands in the graveyard of Trinity Church, of which Watts Jr. was an active member. DianeDuranteWriter.com has hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, Central Park, and my many other obsessions. To join the free Sunday Recommendations email list, visit the URL online or email me. And you can say, "Well done, Diane," or support my work on a recurring basis and receive rewards by means of the tip jar on DianeDuranteWriter.com. Thanks as always for listening.